Now you go to fight it. So we have to expect to see Roosevelt and Nimitz and all the aircraft with 3,000 people fucking die for the fucking Israel, motherfucker, Netanyahu. Are you fucking kidding me, man? I am shocked of what I'm hearing here. Are you serious? Because this can't stay away from the region because he's corrupted. He have to take all the world to the Third World War because China and Russia, they're not going to leave Iran collapse or fall. Why? Because this road in the 4th of May last month, it's arrived the first train from China, and this way it's going to arrive the railway from China.
Okay, Ash, we got 3 other people that may want. Go ahead, you got. You wanted to say something?
Who are you asking?
Amir.
I just got here, guys, so I would rather just listen.
Oh, okay.
So I can finish.
Oh, by the way, this a war won't keep Netanyahu out of prison because he's going to trial. He's actively going to trial as we speak, right? So
since 2020,
even throughout this war. Say again.
Since 2020.
Since 2020.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? Oh, okay. So yes, he's actively going to trial in front of the Supreme Court, right? So just because there is a war doesn't mean that it's going to prevent the Supreme Court from adjudicating. You can make all the claims that you want to. You can say that, you can make all the claims that you I try not to speak while you're speaking. No. It's very difficult to don't present. Why are you
One mic. Hold on 1 second. It's really hard hearing you guys when everybody is trying to talk at the same time. So please let the person land, and then the next person can go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
Thank you. So just because you believe that he needs a war just to get out of going to jail or being sentenced or whatever, that is not true. And also the courts are not in his favor in Israel. The Supreme Court doesn't necessarily like him, but they are holding the trial as fairly as possible. So whatever crimes he has committed, whatever his judgment is, he's going to look forward to it. And in case most of you do not know, Israel is the only country that I'm aware of in modern history that has sent a leader, a prime minister, or president to prison.
That's not a real good consolation prize, Ron. And we're talking about nuclear war, whether he goes to jail or not, we'll all be in jail. We'll all be in jail. It's not so whether he actually gets brought to a trial one day. Nobody, I didn't cut you off, bro. I was just trying to finish my thought. That's all. Nobody's excited that, oh wow, at least he went to jail, while the rest of the world is still dealing with nuclear fallout and now the triggering of things. He's gone. He's off the scene now. But now Iran and the rest of the world and America is very involved in China, whatever else, bro. So I appreciate your insight into that. Whatever you just said, Israel is, the only one or whatever, and they've arrested. Bro, that sounds good, but you know what? Truthfully, to talk about whether he ever gets brought to a court of justice since 2020 or not, and whether he ever sees justice, the planet is concerned, believe it or not, with the planet. And the geopolitics of what he represents with America and Middle East and oil and nuclear energy and centrifuges and the levels that Iran has a lot of, like someone said in the room earlier, they have a lot of people in America, bro, that are good-hearted people, I'm sure. or else they would have been arrested by now by Donald Trump or whatever for being whatever. They haven't shown any, a lot of people are upset about a lot of things, but people don't just go off the handle and just be running around shooting folks yet. We're trying to stop that, bro, because people in America are from all over the world. Yeah, they're American, but they're usually Irish American, Middle Eastern American, Africa, the country.
He was talking about him going to court, babe.
I know, but I know he was, and I get it. And I was just trying to say, he bringing that into the conversation while we're talking about whether he's going to get justice in a court or not. But
hopefully he does, but he's been using the war as a way to push back. He just started the freaking prosecution.
Yeah, he eliminated
every year that he's been.
But it probably won't happen in the next 2 weeks, is all I'm saying. I don't think he's going to get brought up and go to jail in the next week or two.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's been 5 years and they're just doing the cross-examination. It's crazy.
He eliminated the head of Just a second, let me say something. He eliminated Netanyahu. He eliminated the head of Shabak because he asked the Shabak to give him a reason to don't present in front of the court. And Shabak, they say no. So he eliminated the head of Shabak. And the head of Shabak, you have your phone, just go and search. The head of Shabak now is in interrogation that why Netanyahu is trying to using his dictatorship way to keep everything under his control, only his control. He controls Shabak, he controls the CIA, Shabak is part of CIA, he controls everything. And he doesn't want to present in front of the court. Why? Because there is national security. That when the Shabak, they say, we're not going to support that. He eliminated the head of Shabak.
Shabak is the equivalent of the FBI, and he tried to terminate the position, but from Ronan Bar. But Ronan Bar, he went to the courts, and the court said that it was unjust, and he couldn't just fire him whenever he chose to. So he tried to also do the same thing with the Attorney General. Yes, Netanyahu is similar to Trump. He wants people to be absolutely loyal to him. However, fortunately for the state of Israel, right, the courts still have a lot of power and control over how the government is run.
So I can have the actual facts.
And because of that, thank you very much. The court is able to order him to create order where he has created chaos in the government and administration. Thank you.
But not in the next 2 weeks. The head of Shabak. Can somebody spell Shabak? Because I'm not sure how to spell that. So I can.
Shabak is an acronym, and I'll put it in the chat for you.
I appreciate that, Ron.
I don't know why you care, because you are not.
You don't know a lot about why I care about a lot of things, bro. But you just play your cards out. Don't worry about me. We're just having a conversation in here. Okay. All right? You got other problems to worry about, not me.
You mentioned something also about fallout and all of this stuff. I think the point of the matter is that the prevention of a nuclear war, right? Now, fine, people will say that they don't believe that Iran had any intention of creating nuclear weapons. I don't know. All I know is that we have a report, we have some intelligence coming from the American intelligence community, we have a president who's kind of rogue right now, Trump, and we also have some intelligence coming from a few other places. And those people know more than what the media is supposed to know or does know.
Every country with nuclear abilities and warheads knows that it tells any other country, we will destroy your ass if you mess with us. I guarantee you China feels that way. Hold on, bro. Hold on for a minute. Hold on. China feels that way. I promise you Russia feels that way.
Come on, y'all.
So all I'm saying is that, bro, so, again, them getting the ability to have all of that is not the issue, man. And that scares Israel. But there's a lot of countries that have nuclear abilities, and they ain't running around with it just destroying folks. So only when they're provoked. Only when they're provoked. And I'm looking for Shabak. If somebody else, Ron may never put it in there because he doesn't understand why I want to research the facts about the head of Shabak has been, removed. I want to look into the facts that whatever that is, but I can't spell it. That's one thing. But back to what I'm saying, bro. So the The fact, no, one second, bro. Let me finish my one. No, I'm not giving you permission to cut me off.
Okay, one mic.
So I'm going to give y'all permission to both stay on mute. I think Dr. David had his hand up for a while and nobody been able to bring him up. So go ahead, Dr. David. You want?
Yeah. So just in context here, this war, hot war, started back in April of 2024 when Joe Biden was in office. The Iran and Israel have been trading salvos for a while. It first started with Israel destroying the Iranian consulate, which is the hot war. They said was in response to the proxies that Iran was funding, and then they basically just started shooting at each other. Then they did it again in October, and then the incoming president sent out an envoy to get them to all stop, and they stopped. And then they agreed to stop for a period of 6 months or so after he took office. And then as that time expired, Israel has began restarted their campaign that they wanted to do from way back from last year. So I think people are falsely attributing the conflict that's ongoing right now with the current administration as if this wasn't going on back in April of 2024. This administration is now trying to put out that fire that had long been ignited when they weren't even in office, first off. Secondly, in putting out that fire, they are dealing with an uphill battle. The Israeli lobby controls most of the seats in Congress. For example, if you look at the New York Congressman, what was his name, Bowman, or whoever his name is, in the Bronx, who was against the Israeli lobby, he lost his seat. They do this all across the country. They fund candidates to remove members of Congress that are hostile to them, and they have succeeded in controlling most of the seats in Congress, which means most of the people in the U.S. Congress have allegiance to the Israeli lobby, which has full allegiance to Netanyahu and the leadership of Israel. So therefore, most of the government is going to be pro-Israel and give them whatever it is they want. And this may not even be in the best interest of Israel to be giving them everything they want. So if Netanyahu says this is what we need, the Israeli lobby says no problem. We're going to force the U.S. Politicians on our payroll to support it. So to kind of be hostile to their agenda is very difficult position for a U.S. congressperson. They're likely to lose their seat, just like Jamal Bowman lost his seat. And then for President Trump in his position, while his philosophy being peace through strength, it's very unclear where he stands at this point. I'm speculating here. I listened to Professor Mearsheimer a lot on this. I listened to a number of folks. It's unclear where he stands on this. Some people are saying that he's already decided to join the attack. Some people are saying that he's putting out rhetoric, like he has done in the past, to force a concession from Iran, basically with the threat of force. And if the threat is credible enough, they'll make a concession in line with what could be considered acceptable, and they can have peace. So I agree with people that are saying that this is kind of like anti-MAGA, but the position that is people have to understand is this conflict, just like the Russia-Ukraine war, was ongoing when this administration came in. Their now job is to put out the fire in the Russia-Ukraine war and then put out the fire with this Iran war, which was already going before they came in. And they succeeded in 6 months of peace started. But Israel was already foaming at the mouth to do what they're doing now. And it's hard to stop them when they have full control of almost every congressperson, with a few exceptions in the U.S. and senator too.
Crisis, you were trying to hold on one second. Crisis, you were trying to speak. Go ahead, Crisis.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it real simple. So Dr. David made a very valid point when he talked about this being something that has been spawning since before the current administration. I just want to point out something real quick. For those of you who remember who Mahmoud Dinajad was a 12er. And if I'm not mistaken, the majority of the people in the council that run Iran are also 12ers. If you understand what being a 12er means, then you'll understand what their concept is of where the 12th Imam would come on the stage or on the world stage, and what needs to happen in order for him to come on the world stage. In the chat, I just put a link to a video of a conversation between Benjamin Netanyahu and some of the elder rabbis in the 90s, where they're basically saying the same thing to him, because in order for their Messiah to come back, the world also has to be in turmoil in order for their Messiah to come back. And you see this rabbi telling him in the 90s that he's going to be the one that's going to be leading the country at the time when their Messiah comes back. But more importantly, is he's asking him to hasten that return. So when you understand what it takes for that return to happen, and you see that his elder rabbis are asking him to hasten that return, what you're seeing right now is really an exchange between two people who have similar understanding of when the 12th Imam or the Messiah for the Jewish people is supposed to come back, and basically creating the situation for either or to be able to come to the world stage. And I'll land with that.
This 12er concept, is it in that video? Did they mention 12er?
No, in this particular video, this is the one about Benjamin Netanyahu, but I can find you the one for Ahmadinejad, because Ahmadinejad, when he was the leader of Iran, or the prime minister of Iran, he was not very shy about his beliefs. He was absolutely not shy about his beliefs.
He was the president. He was the president of Iran.
No, that's fine.
Right. He was.
I just wanted to know about the 12er, and I know about the Mahdi and the Messiah and all this stuff, but I wanted to get a little more.
Yeah, the concept of the 12ers. The 12ers are. It depends on who you talk to, because some people will say that they're more radical. Some people will say that they're following Shia Islam, but the concept is that the 12th Mahdi can't come back until the world is in turmoil or chaos. The same thing for the Moshiach on the Jewish side. So from the 90s, they're asking Benjamin Netanyahu to hasten the return of the Moshiach. But when Ahmadinejad was president of Iran, he openly said that he was trying to bring the 12th Imam back. You know what I mean? And so it's one of those things where, for us on the sideline, looking at it from a political standpoint, we're being pulled into a situation that even when we try to make sense of it from a political edge, it's even beyond that, which is what makes these conversations so difficult, because we're trying to look at it from one lens, but the people on the ground are not even looking at it from that lens. And I land with that.
So I kind of agree with Crisis. Some of this is also messianic, but it's mostly messianic from the 12er perspective, because according to, there are different opinions in Judaism, but there's supposed to be chaos, but you can't hasten the idea of the Messiah by creating chaos. However, this 12er notion, if anybody can look it up, you can go and yes, Dr. David, or whoever wrote that, the evangelicals created this concept, and it sort of got incepted and imposed by people that that's what Judaism believes. But this 12er concept is something that is that the Ayatollah and Ahmadinejad, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the previous president, fully believes. And it's an aspect, there are several Muslims on the stage, so I'm sure we can ask any of them if they would be honest about it, that they have to destroy Israel in order for the 12th Imam to emerge.
Since we're bringing in evangelical and scriptures into the conversation, Israel, the idea is not that they would find a land and put themselves in there. God would put them in a land. Back to that thought, 1947, and the kind of British and with Churchill and all of this stuff, this whole idea, that right there is totally contrary to scripture, by the way, because the idea is that they would be placed in a land that God would put them in a land. It sure wouldn't be Winston Churchill or who the hell ever in the Britain.
But that's the thing that you don't understand, is that the early Zionists, right, all of these people, while they were quote unquote secular, they weren't trying to fulfill some sort of messianic reality.
Well, it can happen both ways, though.
Well, let me. So their perspective was, if you read like the entire breadth of literature and see who these people are, their issue was that they were being attacked, having pogroms or whatever in Europe. The Europeans told them to go back to wherever they came from. So they started a campaign to say, well, we came from, our ancestry came from Israel,
so
right?
The whole world has to suffer because Hitler said, go back where you came from.
No,
Hitler triggered by Hitler saying, go back where you came from.
Hitler told the European countries, if you love these Jews so much, come take them. And they refused, so they killed them.
Yeah, so then they just brought them back over there amongst these the natives in that land, the Ottoman Empire, and they just brought them in there.
He gave the Americans and the Europeans plenty of opportunities to take the Jews.
Allow me to finish my synopsis.
When
Right?
you're done, can I go after you?
Yeah, sure.
I want to add to what you're saying.
So the position that they had was, okay, we live in a world where these nation states are being created. As a matter of fact, they went to the Ottoman Empire. They went to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire for the purpose of creating a legal case for creating a small state for the Jews to live there. Right, during the Ottoman Empire, then World War I happened, and they created a deal with the British Empire to create a state within the land space. They weren't trying to take over all of the land space. They were going to the people that controlled the land. As a matter of fact, they purchased land. They had a fund called the JNF Fund. You can look it up, where they purchased the land from the Ottoman Empire, from the government, and also from the British Empire in order to create a state. And that was the land that was initially declared as the state of Israel.
So brother, before you go too far, one moment, sweet. One moment, sweet, please. So brother Ron, like, just to add to what you're saying, is it fair to say that we're probably living in an era where this is prophecy manufactured instead of prophecy manifested? Because what you just described and what I just described, and the two leaders that we were referring to, we both can agree that their core beliefs don't say that you're supposed to hasten it, but yet they both were told to hasten it. So if you're being told to hasten it, right? So it's like if you're being told to hasten it, but yet your beliefs say that you're not supposed to be hastening it, that would mean you're trying to manufacture prophecy rather than allowing it to manifest.
So that's the issue. I don't, as far as I know, I don't believe that there's any concept in Judaism to hasten to create the conditions for the Messiah.
That's in 1948, bro.
No, the video I put in the chat. The video I put in the chat clearly says it.
You put it in the chat. What you put in the chat is a video of Netanyahu speaking with, I think, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who's a Hasidic rabbi who has various interesting ideas, and quite honestly, his followers believe that he is the Messiah, right? They believe that he is the Messiah that came. He has a somewhat of a small to medium-sized following amongst the Jews.
You just said Hitler told them to leave, and therefore that go back to your land. You just said that. Hold on, bro.
That's not what I said.
You said the Europeans told them go back to your land. You said the Europeans told them go back to their land. You didn't say that?
Hitler didn't even exist.
You did say that.
When Theodor Herzl wrote his book, or his manifest about creating a Jewish state, and Hitler wasn't even the champion.
Okay, no problem, bro. You didn't say
Hitler wasn't.
You said that.
Why do you keep interrupting me?
We're having a dialogue, bro, because I'm trying to dialogue on what you're saying. You don't want any pushback.
You have zero impulse.
You don't want any pushback. It's not about impulse.
You're a grown man. You're probably like 20 years older than I am.
Don't worry about all that. What you're saying doesn't make sense.
I need you to relax a little bit and calm down so I can finish what I have to say.
I'm calm.
Well, then let me finish what I have to say.
That tactic doesn't work, though. You brought up the fact. I was in the middle of what I was saying. You cut me off. You just got to saying that they were told to go back to their own land.
We can't hear
opinion.
You said that, Ron.
Thank you.
So maybe the moderator can check you because you're interrupting me, bro. So what I'm trying to do is I'm taking what you said again. You just got through saying, earlier you talked about LA and Nevada. Right now you just got through saying that their argument is, based on what the other brother was saying, Crisis, you said that the Europeans told them go back to their land. Is what Crisis was bringing up. And the whole point was you said go back to your original land. And therefore, they didn't just do it on their own. It was the British that said, and then the Ottoman Empire.
That's not actually what I was saying.
Not listening. You're just
No, that's not what he was saying. I get it. I'm not trying to say that that's what you said. That's what I'm saying.
Why don't you stop?
Because these are the facts of what happened, bro.
No, that's not what happened. Some Europeans in 1947, 48, hurts all of that, bro. They went in there, plopped themselves down, bro.
That's false.
Somebody else straighten out what I just said.
Hold on, Sweet.
Show me where I was off.
Sweet and Ron, we can't hear both of you at the same time. And it's kind of hard listening to both of y'all talking at the same time. So one person speak, Sweet, finish speaking, and then Ron, you can chime in.
Right. So I would like to hear somebody come in other than Ron and tell me with their scholarship where agreement with what Ron said, that the people in there, he doesn't like the idea of Hitler. Some Europeans told these Jews, not Africans, some Europeans told these Jews, get the hell out of here, go back to wherever the hell you from. We don't like y'all. We'll kill you. Get away from us. So now, hold on. I'm not done yet. Can I just finish the thought?
You did the same thing.
No, I'm not done yet. That's why. So let me build to what I'm telling you. So what I'm telling you is this, because the whole point is them plopping themselves down in a secular way. Let Ron tell it. So somebody tell me how the British were not doing exactly what Christ has said about now they're rushing this thing and coming in here saying, okay, we're now, because we can't, the Jews don't have a home over there in Europe somewhere. Europeans don't want them there. So now that led to over the British, who was already very interested with the Ottoman Empire, and they had their own thing going on. They came in there and tried to set this thing up with the Ottoman Empire to do this. Somebody show me where that's what I just said is wrong.
All right, so during World War II, Hitler made many overtures to Western countries, Canada, America, European countries, all of them. Come get these people. You don't want us to kill them? No problem. Get them. We don't want them in our country anymore. Come get them. And not a single one of them agreed to take on the Jewish population. Not a single. In all these countries, the Jewish communities in Russia, the Jewish communities in UK, America, all over, came together on their own and realized that these countries that we're in don't want us here. We don't have a place that will take us when we're being persecuted. We don't have a homeland. So they came together and pressured the various countries, the victors of World War II, that we want our homeland. None of you were reliable avenues for us to escape persecution. All of you refused. That's
all the Europeans refused.
So can I?
Yeah, and Americans too. And
Europeans in America, by the way. America is
in America too. They all refused to take it. So they had taken them, they wouldn't be a Holocaust. But
can I please?
This is the reality.
That's not the Middle East.
There's the history has been distorted, and it seems that some people want to start at 1948. Some people don't know that Theodor Herzl and Hitler were not at the same time. They had no connection to each other, other than they probably spoke German. Both probably spoke German.
Make that make sense. Why are you talking about this? Go ahead.
But because it's the history that you're trying to conflate, it doesn't make it. Yeah, excuse me. Let me finish.
We're talking about the British, and this has been since the 1800s, so it's not.
Yeah, so there are already Jews since the early 1800s making migrations from Europe into the Ottoman Empire, right? Throughout the Ottoman Empire, mostly in the land that became the British Mandate of Israel, and then also which became the State of Israel. Already, and I mean, since the 1400s, actually, you find migrations of Jews post the Spanish Inquisition, living in places like Sfat, their current day Sfat, and Jerusalem, and Haifa, places like this. So, and Tiberias, right? So the issue is that there were these empire places before modern states. America and France are two of the most modern states that we have in history, because otherwise we had these empires which were just land masses that were controlled by kings and kingdoms. And that was only 100-something years ago, right? So you had the British Empire, which controlled a vast variety of states and spaces throughout the world. You had the Ottoman Empire, which controlled most of what we call the Middle East today, right? Not just where Turkey is, which is
Let him land. Somebody's going to tie this together somehow. Let it get there. I don't know where he's going, but go.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So you had the Ottoman Empire, which was controlled by Turkey, or the head of Turkey, right, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. And then the British came and broke up the Ottoman Empire because they were enemies. They were a threat to one another. That was World War One. After World War One, before World War One, and there are already Jews living in those spaces. They already planned to go to the Sultan to declare themselves a sovereign state within the Ottoman Empire, what later became the British Mandate of Palestine. Once the British once the British took control over the Ottoman Empire, and the British were creating nation states out of the Ottoman Empire, which includes modern day Egypt, modern day Libya, Syria. They created modern day Iraq and modern day Iran, and also Pakistan. They created all of these states, and then they created them, and also Jordan, I should say. And Jordan, which the area was called Transjordan, or the British Mandate of Palestine, and the British Mandate of Palestine and Jordan, right? They created Jordan as a state, and they were creating Palestine as a state, and also they had a promise to create the state of Israel. And the Jews that were there, they purchased the land that they wanted to become the state. And then across the next 40 years, there were some conflicts. So the British divided the land into two parts.
Ron, nobody's going to get enough time. Ron, just for clarification, are you still in World War I, or are you in World War II?
I haven't gotten up to World War II yet.
Okay, we're still in World War I, is what you're saying. All right,
we're past we're between World War I and World War II. World War I ended in 19.
As long as I can get as much time to refute all this he's saying, which I know I won't.
World War I happened in 1917. World War II ended in 40 something. So 44, I think.
No. It just it wasn't 44.
Just let me.
Just let him put it all out there, and then he's going to cut off anybody that after 10 seconds when they try to refute all that he's allowed to just go ahead and say.
Ron, make sure you mention Thomas Lawrence.
And mention the Ottoman Empire.
Make sure you mention Thomas Lawrence when you're talking about World War I, because if you don't mention Thomas Lawrence, then I'm not going to lie to you, it sounds like a disingenuous.
But what do you have to say about Thomas Lawrence? You tell me about Thomas.
Thomas Lawrence is one of the people who was able to galvanize the local population to fight against the Ottoman Empire during the latter half of World War I. Thomas Lawrence is also the person who they based the character of Lawrence of Arabia after. In his memoirs, he describes the local population, which today we would call Palestinians. He described them as some of the most courageous people that he had ever met, because they didn't have any type of mechanized weaponry. They were dealing with the most whack weapons that you could have at the time, but yet because of the fact that he was giving them an understanding that if they fought for that land, it could become their own, they were willing to fight. And it's the reneging on that started to cause a lot of strife. So now when we take it to the further part going forward, what I mentioned earlier about prophecy manufactured, aka creating a state of Israel instead of God giving them one, versus prophecy manifested, that's when we start to get into that part of the conversation. So as you're describing what you're describing, I just want you to make sure that that's why I asked you, are you still in World War I or are you in World War II?
So you're talking about Sir Thomas Lawrence, right? Sir Thomas Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
And Sir Thomas Lawrence died in 1830. Is that correct?